listening to America First Radio.
And we're gonna win, win, win. And we're gonna make America great again.
Here is your host, Paul Adams.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us. This is Paul Adams at America First Radio. This is not to be an entertaining podcast today. This is very serious. We are going back to a red alert almost. This is about taking back America from the globalists, and in this episode I pull no punches. This is going to be a very uncivilized conversation in the wild and untamed and very dangerous political jungle that we're in. And if you're squeamish, you can just buzz off, okay? I did a podcast on Saturday, March the 4th. That would have been yesterday. Which, by the way, March the 4th in American history is very significant. Every president was inaugurated on March the 4th, up to and including FDR. And then it got changed to January 20th. Also, the Constitution came into effect on March 4th, 1789. And just by sheer coincidence, I was born on March 4th. I just turned 64. So after I listened to that podcast, even with the editing, it sounded too edgy, abrasive, caustic, critical, demeaning, almost confrontational. And so I decided to just chuck it and start all over. The podcast basically contained the same message that Alex Jones transmitted in his emergency transmission to President Trump, with a few variations. And it's amazing how great minds think alike. And maybe it's not great minds. Okay, let's retract that statement. I believe it's minds connected to the universal truth, to God. Minds tapping into the same quantum plenum of ideas placed there by God for us to pick from. Choose and pick. Just like low-hanging fruit. So I'm going to start all over here again and maybe not get so passionate about the subject, because we definitely need cool heads, folks. This is for the survival of the Republic. So I'm going to build my case just like a lawyer would. And first, let's listen to Loretta Lynch.
I know that this is a time of great fear and uncertainty for so many people. I know it's a time of concern for people who see our rights being assailed, being trampled on, and even being rolled back. I know that this is difficult, but I remind you that this has never been easy. We have always had to work to move this country forward to achieve the great ideals of our founding fathers. And it has been people, individuals, who have banded together, ordinary people, who simply saw what needed to be done and came together and supported those ideals, who have made the difference. They've marched, they've bled. Yes, some of them have died. This is hard. Every good thing is. We have done this before, we can do this again.
So it's very obvious to me, and it should be to you, that the left is preparing for civil war. They want to take this to the limit. Let me rephrase this. Let's put it this way. Soros has an endgame, and it is civil war, which would bring about the balkanization of America. And I'm not the only one arriving at this conclusion. It's not rocket science, really. He has been funding government overthrows around the world forever. Also Dave Hodges, Alex Jones, Jeff Renz, everyone on the patriotic right. It's staring us right in the face. Now I present you with exhibit number 2. Soros has instructed Obama to activate Organizing for Action, which is nothing more than a subversive network, a shadow government, a resistance movement to make President Trump's life as miserable as possible and bring government to a standstill. Now, we had COG, continuity of government, before. The difference here is that Obama is coming out openly and announcing it to try to normalize it by repetition. Exhibit number 3 has been the non-stop attacks on the Trump administration. The attacks will not stop. They will increase in frequency and intensity. It's like a blitzkrieg. It's meant to paralyze Trump, confuse him, break him emotionally, frustrate him and his cabinet, demoralize the nation, and then blame Trump for failing. It sounds like a typical communist playbook. Exhibit number 4, and this is not taking into account the curses and hexes and spells that the witches and warlocks are unleashing on President Trump and his supporters on every waning crescent moon. It's not taking into account other personal attacks they may have planned on him and his family. And you can check all these stories and more on my news site, which is trump-x-press.com. And by the way, I pray for President Trump twice a day, sometimes even more than that. Every time I think about him, automatically, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. I say a little prayer. See, here's part of the problem, or shall we say the challenge we are facing. On the one hand, we have a moral, ethical, honest, slightly imperfect president who makes Hillary Clinton look like a serial criminal, which she is, by the way. President Trump has called Obama a great guy after he was briefed in that transition meeting he had with him. See, he's trying to be cordial. He's trying to be accommodative. He wanted Hillary to feel comfortable in that first debate. Remember that one? Just over-the-top, nice guy. President Trump is like a sheep in a wolf's den. He doesn't realize, though, that he's really a lion. He's used to doing business, but not selling his soul for money. And it's time that he puts all his efforts into dismantling the opposition. In contrast, his opposition are super predators on steroids. No conscience, no morals, no compass other than the Alinsky rules for radicals. These are die-hard con artists. So we have that backdrop. And then we need to analyze what's at stake here. This is not about them just having lost an election, folks. They have lost the planet by losing America. They will have lost control of all their New World Order agendas, the wars, the climate change hoax, the pedophile blackmailing, the drug wars, the Islamic clash of civilizations, the list goes on and on. So it's for all the marbles, okay? So let's get really, really real here. If President Trump thinks these people will one day wake up and recognize the error of their ways, if he thinks they will just get tired of losing and one day turn themselves in or walk quietly into the sunset, he is gravely, gravely mistaken. So we have a really nice guy with a lot of common sense who thinks this will be like Harry Truman stepping into office. Look, Harry Truman had a mini military industrial complex to contend with and the Federal Reserve. Now, that's it. Nothing like the drug cartels, the banks, money laundering, the communists at every level of government, the demonic Clinton seeking revenge as they try to stay out of jail, the Soros megalomaniac who thinks he's God and has as his mission the destruction of America. Truman didn't have the fake stream media. Truman basically had the Japanese and Korean wars to worry about, and that was basically it. Nobody wanted him assassinated. Trump has inherited a huge swamp, a huge mess. He also has to worry about the Never-Trump GOP, who smile like snakes. You know who they are. You know, they have that Podesta snake smile. They care more about their GOP political careers than they care about the country. So a challenge of this magnitude can also present a great opportunity for President Trump. He can reshape the future. So let's look at this opportunity. And folks, believe me, I'm not the only one who's thinking along those lines, okay? It's nothing original here. The nation will be won not just by President Trump. This cannot be a solo performance. The nation will be won when the people and the president are joined at the hip. For the first time in American history, we have the ability to interact with the president and for him to interact with the people. Now, Twitter's a good start. Facebook, not so good. I don't have an account there anymore. But Twitter's a good start, but he needs a lot more than that. For example, as you know, Twitter is now shadow banning a lot of the right-wing accounts. First, as a simple measure, if he's going to be on Twitter, he can use the poll option on his tweets to ask us our opinions on solutions. He can have up to 4 options. Example, he can tweet about the wiretapping. Instead of just complaining about it, he could add a poll to see what the people would prefer as a remedy. Because after a while, you know what happens. A lot of people get tired of the complaining. It sounds like a squeaky wheel. Complaining. You get my drift. We need less complaining and more proactive solutions. I don't know of a nicer way to say it. Plus, he has to expect more attacks from the left, so he has to be ready with counterattacks. He has to have a stockpile of defenses prepared well in advance. Proactively prepare for the next assault, because it is coming. It's going to be coming in greater frequency and greater intensity. Your people, Kellyanne, Priebus, everybody, they need to be on their toes, not flat-footed. Now, besides Twitter, because 70% of the electorate is not on Twitter, he needs a presidential channel whereby the people can communicate 2 ways with him. This is not just me saying. Alex Jones said it. Robert Steele has said it. This is the future, folks. This is a way for the hive effect to become a reality. Takes imagination and daring. It's more of a long-term solution, but it must be started now. Start now. Then he needs to get rid of the weak-kneed sisters in his entourage. These are people who did not come to Jeff Sessions' support, who let him recuse himself without consulting with the president. And chief amongst these weak-kneed sisters is Reince Priebus. The least he could have done as chief of staff is alert the president that Jeff Sessions was going to recuse himself. He could have also done the same with Mike Flynn, who was going to resign. Why is the president the last one to know? It's very bad optics and very, very sad. Then, and this is, at this point, Alex Jones spelled out splendidly. Alex, by the way, in my books, is the Thomas Paine of the Second Revolution. It is a revolution. Make no mistake about it. The next thing the president must do, with or without the president's channel in place, is to hold daily or weekly informal firesides. And the operative word is informal. He needs to get right down to the people's level, no ties, no suits, just semi-casual, and lay it all out for the people. He has to repeat the same themes on a monthly basis until they sink in, till everybody gets it. And what will he discuss? Well, everything the media is not discussing and more. Front and center for me, if I was president, and this is what I would start off with, it would be the communist infiltration in our government. Super top priority. This is what is killing this nation, the communist infiltration. I don't know how to emphasize this other than to say it. If you were reading this, it would be in bold red and underlined, because it's the major flaw in the system. People are running for office as senators, House representatives, presidents, vice presidents, and they are not required to pass an FBI background check for communist ties. Are you kidding me? In contrast, someone applying for a federal job goes through a thorough FBI background check going back 40 years. And if there's a hint of a suspicion that the applicant is associated or was associated with communists, he is disqualified. Would you like me to repeat this for emphasis? Would you like me to repeat this for emphasis? I'm willing to repeat it 10 times over if you want. And next I will talk about Soros and his subversive operation and his influence on Obama's objective to create a shadow government. Normally a president will just retire, except for the other exception, John Quincy Adams. After his term as president, he became a House rep. I would also talk about the corruption, the pedophilia, the Clinton's Foundation's illegal activities. People want to know. They want justice. And if they think Hillary will run again in 2020 or run for New York City mayor or host her own TV show, we have news for everybody. It ain't going to happen. And if President Trump allows it to happen, his legacy will be tarnished forever. So that's it in a nutshell. I hope I was nice and not so caustic. Folks, the globalists are not going away without a fight, and the president needs to go on the attack. No more counterpunching. The left has done enough damage from the primaries, the post-election transition, the post-inauguration. Enough is enough. Soros needs to get the hell out of this country while he still can, and that goes double for Obama, who trained ISIS and armed ISIS with gun running from Libya, and now is openly in violation of the law by inciting insurrections and violence. Traitor. All of them got to go. Valerie Jarrett, by the way, just moved in with the Obamas. They had her living with them in the White House. These are communist rats that need to go. Let me rephrase this. These are communist snakes that need to leave our shores or end up with their head dollars to donuts. The first to be targeted in a civil war will be their ringleaders. So enough's enough. Some of these guys, some of these young boys like Jared Kushner can't take the heat. They need to get out of the kitchen. The time for polite and nice is over. It's time for vicious and ferocious. It's time to fight fire with the help of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So until next time, God bless America, and God bless the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.